The project that I decided to do was Joseph Barbera and William Hanna. Joseph Barbera and William Hanna first met working in the animation unit at MGM Studios during the late 1930s. Looking to create something new in the industry that was different and unique, the two decided on a story about two equal characters that were always in conflict with each other. In the 1940s, the first cartoon William Hanna and Joseph Barbera created was called Puss Gets the Boot, which eventually became the popular series Tom and Jerry. William Hanna was born in Melrose in Mexico on July 14, 1910, and Joseph Barbera was born in Little Italy on March 24, 1911. Barbera was working as a bank accountant with the Irving Trust Company in New York City during the early 1930s when he started submitting cartoons to magazines. He sold his first to Collier's magazine and gave up banking to pursue cartooning. Barbera joined Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer or MGM as a sketch artist in 1937, the same year as William Hanna. William Hanna is credited with co-founding the animation studio and production company Hanna-Barbera. Hanna joined the Harman and Ising animation studio in the 1930s and gained skill and prominence while working on cartoons such as Captain and the Kids. In 1937, while working at MGM, Hanna met Joseph Barbera. Hanna-Barbera is credited with founding cartoons such as The Flintstones, The Huckleberry Hound Show, The Jetsons, Scooby-Doo, The Smurfs, and Yogi Bear. Hanna was given the opportunity to direct his first cartoon in 1936. The result was Two Spring, part of the Harmonizing Happy Harmony series. The following year, MGM decided to terminate their partnership with Harmonizing and bring production in-house. Hanna was among the first people MGM hired away from Harmonizing to their new cartoon studio. During 1938 to 1939, he served as senior director on MGM's Captain and the Kids series. As popular as Hanna-Barbera's cartoons were in the 1960s artists disliked their cartoons. Hanna-Barbera was key in the development of limited animation, which allowed television animation to be cost-effective. Limited animation is a process in the overall technique of traditional animation that reuses frames of character animation. In the 1980s and 1990s, Hanna-Barbera continued to produce successful animation television shows, including The Snorks and the Powerpuff Girls. The company faced some challenges at this time, such as changing tastes of audiences and increasing competition from other studios. Hanna-Barbera is remembered as one of the most beloved and influential presences in animation history. Hanna-Barbera was known for its commitment to producing high-quality, family-friendly entertainment. Hanna-Barbera helped make animation more accessible and affordable and paved the way for the proliferation of animated television shows and films that we see today. William Hanna's career began at the Harmon Island Animation Studio in 1930 in Los Angeles. William Hanna started out as Harman Ising's, emptying trash cans and washing animation cells for reuse. Hugh Harman and Rudolph Ising had worked with Walt Disney in Kansas City in the early 1920s and moved William Hanna to Los Angeles to start his studio. By 1929, they had parted ways with Disney to create their own studio. Within just a few weeks, Harman and Ising promoted Hanna from janitor to head of the inking and painting department. Hanna often stayed long after hours to work with Ising on animated shorts, contributing gags and comical situations. He also began timing cartoons, a task at which he excelled. In 1933, Harman and Ising signed a deal with MGM to produce animation. When Harman and Ising were released from their contract with MGM in 1937, Hanna chose to stay at MGM under the leadership of Fred Quimby, a former theater manager who was now head of the MGM studio and who was impressed with Hanna's abilities. Hanna's first task was creating a cartoon version of the comic strip Cats and Jammer Kids, in collaboration with Warner Brothers. In 1944, Gene Kelly approached Hanna-Barbera about working on the musical Anchors Aweigh, directed by George Sidney and starring Frank Sinatra and Gene Kelly. From 1946 to 1951, Barbara and Harvey Eisenberg published several comics under the Deerfield publishing label. The comic book titles were Red Rabbit, Foxy Fagin, Junie Prom, and Panhandle Pete and Jennifer. In 1953, Hanna-Barbera were again involved in motion pictures when they animated Tom and Jerry. That same year, they reteamed with Gene Kelly to create a sequence for Invitation to Dance, Kelly's directorial debut. In 1955, Hanna-Barbera co-directed a remake of MGM's 1939 anti-war short Peace on Earth, in which a grandfather squirrel relates the history of war to his two grandchildren. Overall, Hanna-Barbera won 7 Oscars from the Academy of Motion Pictures, Arts and Sciences for their cartoons between 1943 and 1952. After 1957, when they formed their own company, they made a number of cartoon series for television that still live on today. Hanna-Barbera overcame the challenges of pay cuts, requiring to use limited animation techniques, and were praised for the quality of writing found in their most successful productions, Huckleberry Hound, Yogi Bear, The Flintstones, and The Jetsons.